The long-awaited border security bill is done, already facing backlash in some sectors as the text claims there is no amnesty for anyone already here. These are some of the highlights. 50,000 new visas per year for 5 years. $650 million let over from the Trump years to build the wall. They'll start finishing, get about 50 miles. Increase ICE funds and detention capacity to 50,000. Shut down authority after an average of 5,000 encounters a day. But the lead negotiator and our next guest insists it's the most misunderstood part of the bill, the one I just read. So joining us now for his first interview since the text was released last night, GOP Senator James Lankford. Senator, thanks so much for joining us. I'm going to go to the part that you wanted to find the most misunderstood, the 5,000. What is it exactly?
Yeah, it's really ridiculous when we go on the backside of December. What just happened when we had 10 and 12,000 people a day coming across. And this authority is a 5,000 authority to say if you get to 5,000, which we've been there every single day except for 7 in the last 4 months, that it completely closes the border down. It deports everyone. It changes the paradigm from right now. What the Biden administration is doing is catching and releasing everyone to actually catching and deporting everyone. It literally flips the script on it. I have people saying, well, I don't want to do that at 5,000. I want to do that at 3,000. Say, well, fine, we can do 3,000. But right now, every day we're at 5,000. It doesn't matter between the two. We've got to be able to have something that mandatorily deports everyone rather than actually releases everyone. That's what this does. Some people are thinking that this is somehow like counting 5,000 people in every day and releasing them. That's absurd. We changed the asylum laws. We increased detention beds. We doubled the deportation flights. We add ankle monitors for people that are actually coming through that do these family groups that come through so we can track any individual that when we don't have capacity. Right. There's all the things that we build into this to make this a much stronger system. Gaps that are in the law get closed in this structure.
So you're saying even people who have come through and they actually fit the demand and can get in, that counts, including people that get rejected, that counts. So when you hit that 5,000 number, everything shuts down. Almost like the stock market, when there's too much trading, they'll shut it down to the next day. And you're saying if this was in place now, the border would be shut down.
That's correct. The border would be shut down. Not only the border would be shut down today, it had been shut down every single day the last 4 months, and we'd have been turning people around. Instead, actually, people have been released into the country. If this would have been in place 4 months ago, we'd have had 1 million fewer illegal immigrants into our country right now.
Also, there's some text in there that says the president does have some discretion to open up the border after it's shut down and not go by these rules. Is that true?
So, again, we're back to the crazy details of this, of people that are throwing stuff in there just trying to be able to attack a proposal that actually closes the border down. Yes, there's a discretionary piece on this, but it's a mandatory close down. They've got 275 days in the next year that has to be closed down. There is some discretion for the president to be able to reopen it, 45 of those. If we have something like a hurricane come through Central America, something like that, where we're trying to be able to manage a natural disaster. But it's not like just a random turnaround on this. And I've had folks that have said, hey, the Secretary of Homeland Security would have those authorities. So would every president. So would, a Chad Wolf in a future Trump administration would have authority. So the key thing here is changes the asylum laws, builds more wall, adds more detention beds, adds more deportation flights, changes this 10-year backlog that we're currently in now to weeks before people are actually deported. That's what the bill really does.
All right. So the main thing that you believe one of the main things is asylum changes. Now, the criteria to get into our country, you need to do what?
So right now, if you walk across the border today, you can say, I have fear in my country, and you'll be released into the country for 10 years. Under this bill, you walk across the border and say, I have fear in my country. They say, prove it. You've got to have a higher standard of evidence. And then they say they're going to check your criminal record. They're going to say, could you have internally relocated into another place in your own country, which by far most people could. Could you have stopped somewhere along the way and actually remained there? If any of those are true, then you're deported immediately. Instead, today, they're going to be released for 10 years. Under this bill, they would be deported quickly on it.
But not unaccompanied minors and not families. They get ankle monitors and get to stay, right?
Well, they get ankle monitors, but they actually go through this higher standard. They don't get to stay. They go through this higher standard. They immediately have their processing within weeks, and then they are deported as well. The difference is it's very difficult to be able to actually hold all of these families in that position. So you got to find another way to be able to do it. So this bill addresses that. Right now, again, those families are released for 10 years. In this structure, it would be weeks, and then they would be deported. So people have got to decide on this. Do I want everyone in the country, unlimited numbers, what we have now, or do we want to have a faster, stronger system that we're actually deporting people?
All right, so let's talk about the NGOs, the Catholic charities. They get huge money to house and provide accommodations to illegal aliens who are trying to get into this country. You put $1.4 billion into this. That is an area in which I know Republicans are upset about. Can you want to expand on that?
Yeah, it is interesting. I have some folks that are upset about trying to get humanitarian aid to people that are struggling on it. I get that. We want to be able to, we're Americans, we provide food and water to people and don't just leave them in the desert to be able to die. But I would also say that aid is also attached to our beds. So here's how we attach these two things together. So to be able to get that economic assistance actually got out, that means the Biden administration, before that assistance goes out at the end of it, that means they've got to add more deportation flights, they've got to add more detention beds, they've got to add more ICE officers, they have to add more Border Patrol officers.
Right.
They have to actually implement these things before those final dollars go out.